Okay, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Where's everybody at? Got Kate first and Starfire. We got a lot of news out there tonight. Lots. And there was a shooting last night about an hour from me, and then right now Trump is speaking, you guys. So we better head over there and see what he's saying. Chico. No more. Uh, Not that one. Tim, what do you think of Comey today?
Just want to say it's an honor, the job we're doing, and these people are doing absolutely incredible. I'll just add a couple of things. In Memphis, as you know, where the numbers are down in half already, and it's only been about 2 weeks. Doing a fantastic job there. Thank you. Uh, Incredible.
Thanks.
Nobody thought it was
You got
possible. It was
one right
really
there.
it was a very sick city. It was horrible what happened there. People would go from, if you're on the board of FedEx, they would ride you 1 block to the hotel. They said you couldn't walk it because it was too dangerous. And they're already feeling better about it. But the
I'll
best
share it
example
when
right
we
now
listen to
is
this for a
Washington,
bit.
D.C. We went from one of the most unsafe places in the planet, I hate to say, but in this country, to a totally safe city. It's nothing's crime free, I guess, but this is about as close to crime free as you're going to get. And you guys have done an incredible job with that. Every one of you have worked so hard on this one, and it's our nation's capital. And people would go to the nation. They'd go from, I always say,
We'll
Iowa,
play this till we get
Indiana.
everybody in
They'd go
here.
from Florida. They'd come up. They want to see the monument. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial. I want to see one of the monuments, any one of them, and they'd go home in a coffin, but not anymore. It's not happening anymore. We haven't had that happen in a long time. Was averaging more than one a week, one person a week. Who would think that's possible? And it hasn't happened anymore. And we have a safe city. We have a city where the restaurants are booming. People are going out. Nobody's being mugged, hit over the head with a baseball bat. None of the stuff is gone. We took out 1,700 criminals, many of them career criminals, many of them given to us by Joe Biden and his ridiculous open borders policy. They came in from jails from all over the world, not just South America, from all over the world. Jails, they came in from mental institutions and insane asylums all over the world, drug dealers, and we got them the hell out of here. They're either that, or if they're so bad, as I said before, we put them in jail because we can't take a chance that they come back. But I want to just say that uh, Washington, D.C. is such an example of what could be done. And now the same thing's happening in Memphis. We're just halfway
Okay,
through the process, and
this is
already the
live.
numbers are
Okay.
far superior, far better than what we would have thought at this time. Uh, and Chicago, I just saw the number last week, it was last weekend, 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. And then I have this guy Pritzker's very weak governor. Let me be nice. I'm going to be very nice. He's extremely weak. He's pathetic. I have Pritzker get up and say how great they're doing in Chicago. They're doing very poorly. So 4 were murdered, 4, 11 were shot. I would say, and that was not a bad week for him. Okay, that was not a bad week. He's had somewhere 18 or 19 were murdered. And you know what his excuse was? Yeah, but that was a long weekend. Okay, can you believe it? He said that was a long weekend. He's bad, and the mayor is worse. I mean, that mayor is worse. Low IQ, very low IQ, and we don't need low IQ people. We need people that are going to take care. And I love Chicago, and I love those beautiful women. Black women, beautiful women wearing MAGA hats, and they're all over the place in Chicago. They want protection. They don't care if it's the National Guard, if it's the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines. They'll take Space Force, okay? Space Force, send them in. They just don't want to be mugged, killed, raped, shot in the head, and we stop it. So we're going to be given a very special we're going to give Chicago very special care. As you probably know, maybe you heard, we were going to do a big surge in San.
I don't want to stay too long because we have a lot of stuff to share. So we'll get to the stuff on JRL. I guess we better play this. We'll do this one first.
That is trapped. Looks like in the sewer system, down the manhole, and there's a major rescue operation in a Los Angeles area neighborhood after a dog fell into the manhole, and they're doing their best to try to save this dog. But I don't know if it's going to go well because they just came out and said no dog in the hand of the rescuer.
I don't want to hear that. That's all I wanted to hear. I don't want to hear sad news, right, you guys? Oh. Thanks, Jay.
Help with the bench. Do you know how? You have to put it in the tray.
So he is. I didn't see you back. We'll do a great job. You remember my son?
Well, that's the Christmas tree. We'll do a 5-minute update on last night. Ooh, I guess the press secretary is going to make an announcement at 5:15. Come on, settle down. I got to log in Telegram. All right, I'm going to log in Telegram. What? Okay. This
Situation going on, folks.
One of the
Shooter.
either the shores or county
now,
over to that
about an hour
location where
from
that,
me,
where that sweater was
I
from.
saw you on
5
Telegram
Keep
the other
Limited.
day.
548 Edward 7. 548 Edward 7 per caller has driven through 2 red lights all over the road.
Folks, we have a shooting at a mall.
Maybe the dispatch team put me on the Partridge Creek.
A lot of news going on.
And we are listening on a scanner. Apparently, it was a Christmas tree lighting. Once again, another Christmas tree lighting type of shooting. It's not even safe anymore. The holidays.
23,000 Canyon Pike. Oh, the my
Insanity, folks. We're talking about Clinton Township, Michigan, and they're apparently looking for a shooter. Looks like it's the annual Christmas tree lighting. Look what just happened in North Carolina. Look what just happened in Chicago. So we're gonna listen to the scanner and try to get it more analyzed and try to figure this
Do you want
out.
to continue to where you're at right now or go to where M63 is at?
Sorry. 10-4. Will be 10-8.
More craziness, folks. One person shot at the Partridge Creek Mall. Is that what it's called? The Partridge Creek Mall? Partridge Creek or just Partridge Creek?
Relay to their people where this is and try to get a backtrack on the video.
302. Caller Stacy hears his neighbor. Sounds like they're hitting each other. Male and female yelling. Here's a female yelling stop and stuff being thrown around.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get going on the intel. That was just the breaking stuff. There's one more. There's a coach that I guess we better play it.
Under the circumstances, police went to his home for an investigation, only to find.
All right, so that was confusing there. All right, we're going to go to the topic here. I guess we better hear from Benny's video. Okay, Benny has the thing on that. Then we'll get the cash.
What's up, guys? How deep does the rot go inside of the swamp?
13
Way
minutes.
down to the actual bedrock, permafrost, primordial ooze. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The federal judge dismisses indictments against James Comey and Letitia James. Wow, I thought they were just indicted. Like, what the hell's going on here? Was there already a trial? Nope. Judge just like, nah, not even going to hear it. It's done. It's over. You got your indictments, but I don't like them, so it's done here. How rigged is the system? Federal judge dismisses James Comey, Letitia James indictment. How could that be? Judge Cameron Curie found that Lindsay Halligan could not charge James Comey because she was an invalid U.S. attorney. What the hell's going on here? Seems like quite the oversight, but let's read. A federal judge threw out the indictments, James Comey and Letitia James, finding that they were illegitimate because it was brought by an unqualified U.S. attorney. Huh? James Cameron Curie dismissed the false statements charges against Comey and bank fraud charges against James without prejudice, meaning the charge could be brought again. I conclude that the Attorney General's attempts to install Ms. Halligan as an interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid, that Ms. Halligan has been unlawfully serving in that role since 2025 of September 22. What? The Department of Justice could appeal the decision or attempt to bring the charges under a different U.S. attorney. Fox News Digital has.
Before we talk Abbott Big Ten blood drive ideas, let's get in the competitive spirit with the scavenger hunt. I worked all weekend on that.
Save lives and help win your school $1 million.
It's okay. It's in your nature.
We were planning our anniversary trip. Someone tried to open a loan in my name in a state I'd never even been to before.
Retirement.
Reached out for comment to DOJ. The move to scrap two of the highest profile criminal cases the DOJ leveled against President Trump's political foes comes after a judge voiced skepticism at a recent hearing in Virginia about Lindsay Halligan's ability to bring the charges. Curie, a Clinton appointee based in South Carolina, was brought in from out of state to preside over the proceedings about the question of Halligan's authority because it presented a conflict for the Virginia judges. Comey and James's challenges to Halligan's appointment were consolidated because of their similarities. Halligan acted alone in representing the charges to the grand jury after Trump ousted the prior interim U.S. attorney and replaced him with Halligan. At the time, Trump urged Pam Bondi on social media to act quickly to indict Comey, a call that came as statute of limitations were about to lapse. Halligan had no prior prosecutorial experience when she took over one of the most high-profile federal districts in the country, was a lone lawyer to present both cases to the grand jury and sign the indictment. No prosecutors from Virginia joined the case. Okay. I mean, I don't pretend to be a legal expert here, but I mean, did nobody think of this? Like, really? Nobody was like, I'm not saying that this is the correct decision, but like, is it true that they didn't follow a process here? How is she illegal exactly? The DOJ has since put forth its full backing behind Halligan. Bondi attempted to ratify and re-ratify the indictments after the case, a move that Curie suggested would not have been necessary if Halligan were a valid appointee. DOJ attorney Henry Whitaker argued during the hearing that the motions to dismiss Comey and James's case involved at best a paperwork error. James's attorney Abe Lowell said Halligan was a private person when she entered the grand jury rooms and completely unauthorized to be in them. Curie agreed, saying the decision was retroactively validating Halligan. Her actions would be unheard of. The implications of the contrary exclusion, the extraordinary, it would mean the government could send any private citizen off the street, attorney or not, into a grand jury room to secure an indictment, so long as the attorney general gives her approval. That cannot be the law. Again, here, so here it is in black and white. You can go see it here. Comey case dismissed. Mr. Comey moves to dismiss the indictment on the grounds that Halligan, sole prosecutor who presented the case to the grand jury, was unlawfully appointed in violation of this U.S. Code of the Appointments Clause. As I explained below, I agree with Mr. Comey that the Attorney General's attempt to install Ms. Halligan as an interim attorney in Eastern Virginia was invalid, and because Ms. Halligan had no lawful authority to present the indictment, I will grant Mr. Comey's request to throw it all out. Jeez. Okay, so here we go. Let's jump over here to Mike Davis. who has obviously going to be sharp commentary on this, countervailing commentary. There's overwhelming evidence that James Comey lied to Congress and obstructed the Senate investigation into Crossfire Hurricane, the biggest scandal in American history. There's overwhelming evidence that AG Tisch lied on her mortgage application and committed bank fraud. The prior U.S. attorney refused to prosecute these Democratic operatives. So the attorney general picked a new one who was unafraid to follow the law. What's the Democrats' response? Unsurprisingly, an Obama judge hand-selected a Clinton judge. Then the Clinton judge tossed both indictments.
Hey,
And
Chris, just getting started.
And the first sentence in both nearly identical orders
We did the
in
breaking
which the
news
Clinton
last
judge
night.
personally and gratuitously attacked Lindsey Halligan makes it crystal clear this judge is a Democrat partisan. Democrat politicians, including in robes, shamefully protect their own. Unfortunately, we have a two-tiered justice system, one of Democrat weaponizing enemies, one Democrat weaponizing to protect the allies. The Justice Department must appeal, and it must move aggressively to bring the charges against the lawfare Democrats in Fort Pierce, Florida. Okay. So Mike Davis is effectively saying that this is just, political bias, but it still means that these cases have been thrown out. What's next on all of this? Well, not exactly sure. Let's read. Judge tosses the case. Decision disqualifying Lindsey Halligan as U.S. attorney sets back the Trump efforts, Justice Department to go after the rivals who broke the law. They did break the law. This, by the way, is the judge. Ooh, goodness gracious. Okay. Yikes. Woof.
6 minutes.
Buzz. Your girlfriend. Former FBI. So this is the judge that threw him out. This is Judge Cameron Curie, Bill Clinton appointee. She tossed the case. It's exactly what you'd think. I'm kind of getting pissed off at this kind of stuff. Like, have the trial. It is amazing. But really, like, there's so many smart people at DOJ. Like, is this for real? Senate Republicans refusing to toss out the blue.
Yeah, this is what Penny's saying. And then Q has a 5-minute video I want to play. Yeah, it's all over the news. And then I got a 4-minute clip on the press secretary. There's a lot of stuff. Gonna be a big show tonight, you guys. A lot of intel.
Tradition allowed James Comey and Letitia James indictments to be thrown out by a liberal judge. Let's read. Chuck Grassley refused to get rid of it, so Democrat Senators Warren and Kaine could unilaterally block the confirmation of Lindsey Halligan, and it hasn't moved forward. So the judge had the ammo to claim Halligan isn't legally in her position and threw it out. Now we're in this mess. Get strong, Senate GOP. The blue slip tradition allows home state senators to have input on U.S. attorney and district court judges. In Biden administration, Republican kept 30 liberals off the bench that President Trump can now fill with conservatives. So I'm just kidding. Without prejudice, says Harmy Dillon, meaning they could bring it again. I guess we'll see. And Letitia James saying she's heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers. I mean, probably nobody has worse heart health in the world than Letitia James. From a medical perspective, here we go. What does Jonathan Turley have to say about this? What are the different scenarios? Let's go ahead and have a listen to the obvious legal experts here as Republicans in Congress continue to punch themselves directly in the nuts. Here you go.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift of Tim Hortons with delightful holiday drinks and festive baked.
What do you believe is, what are we watching for next in all of this, Jonathan?
Well, we're going to wait to see, I think, and we're going to have the answer very soon, whether the Department of Justice is going to go back to the grand jury and try to sort of clean this one up. The key is going to be the status of the U.S. attorney. And that's going to be an issue which they're going to have to address. The court here is saying you simply didn't have this authority. Now, the Justice Department has some good faith arguments that the reading of that law is wrong and that it impedes upon the president's authority. But I think a lot of judges would have raised the same concern.
Okay, we're going to pause for a minute. Listen to Pam Bondi for a little bit. Okay, just in time.
Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. And thank you to our HUD Secretary, Scott Turner, for your partnership in restoring American communities. Our goal is not only to make Memphis safe, but make Memphis beautiful
not
again. And
again.
we're grateful, Secretary, for your partnership. I also want to thank Governor Bill Lee,
Is everybody
Senators
getting it?
Marsha Blackburn and Bill Haggerty for their unwavering support to make Memphis safe again. We want to thank Congressman David Kustoff, who's here in the audience, Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, and our U.S. Attorney, Michael Donovan. There's Michael. Thank you so much. All of our other public officials who are here, thank you. And our U.S. Marshal for Tennessee, Tyrese Miller, you have been working tirelessly. Thank you. I also want to thank U.S. Marshal Director Gadi Serralta, the FBI, DEA, ATF, Treasury Department, DHS, and the National Guard, I see our guard back there, thank you, along with all the members of our state and local law enforcement, our sheriffs, our police. Thank you for everything you're doing to make Memphis safe. That's our objective. The people of Memphis deserve to be safe. Every American deserves to be safe, to go to the grocery store, to take their kids to school, to be able to go to church on a Sunday without fear. In 2024, Memphis had the highest violent crime rate, the highest in the entire country. Memphis's total crime rate was 344% higher than the national average. No longer. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump and our dedicated men and women in law enforcement, this surge in Memphis has dramatically dropped crime. The numbers tell the story themselves. They are undeniable. The last 56 days that we have had this surge compared to the same 56-day time period a year ago shows murder is down 48% in just 56 days, sexual assault down 49%, robbery down 61%, overall serious crime down 45% here in Memphis. We are reversing the trend. Since President Trump ordered federal law enforcement officers to search Memphis, 121 children have been located and returned to safety. Those are 121 children who were reported missing and endangered. They have been recovered. More than 3,100 arrests have been made, including 327 known gang members, 501 firearms seized off the streets of Memphis. We have filed federal charges against approximately 150 people. Michael, is that right? As of today, 157 federal charges have been filed. Tolerating crime is a choice. This administration chooses law and order and making America safe again. President Trump chooses to protect the good people of Memphis, every neighborhood, and every family. Unfortunately, the safety of our community has been compromised by some judges who continue to obstruct our efforts.
Sit right on top of the fish with a Recon trolling motor. A revolutionary new remote brings the industry's first 360-degree thumb control, paired with pinpoint GPS for precision adjustments while you fish. Take power over water with the Recon saltwater trolling motor from Simrad.
Memphis and in Washington, D.C., and every city across this country, our message is clear. If you're committing violent crimes, if you're committing any crime, we will find you, we will bring you to justice, and we will protect the law-abiding citizens in this country. I want to thank all
Thanks
of
for
our
the
agents
donation,
again.
JJ.
We're here today because it's Thanksgiving week, and we know all of you are out there protecting all of us. You're not with your families. Many of you are not going to be with your families on Thanksgiving. And we are so grateful for your service and your sacrifice. We know there is no such thing as a normal day in the life of a law enforcement officer.
Okay,
When you go to
Michelle,
serve a
thanks.
warrant, you don't know what's behind that door. When you stop a vehicle, pull a vehicle over, you don't know what's behind that window. And we are so proud that we have a president who has taken the handcuffs off of our law enforcement officers so they can do their jobs. And we are putting them on the hands of the violent criminals. The results that you see in this city are a result of that leadership and all of us working as a team. I cannot thank everyone in this room enough for what you're doing. And now it is my honor to introduce not only my fellow cabinet member, but my dear friend, the Secretary of HUD, Scott.
You guys
Turner.
wanted to go on to Intel, or do you want to listen?
Well, good afternoon to everyone. It is indeed a great joy to be here with you. And I want to thank my dear friend and colleague and cabinet partner, Attorney General Pam Bondi, for her leadership. Pam, thank you so much for how much you care about the people of America and this great country, in particular here in Memphis. And thank you for your vigilance in upholding our nation's laws, and specifically the reason why we are all here today. That's for making our streets and our neighborhoods and our communities safe. I also want to thank Governor Lee and Senators Blackburn and Haggerty for your commitment to improving the lives of people in Memphis and in all of Tennessee. And also thank you to Director Gaddy, Serralta, and the U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, that's too much, a lot of time there. But it's important. We'll go back and finish up.
Got this statement in from Letitia James, who said, "I'm heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I've received from around the country. I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges as I continue fighting for New Yorkers every single day." Well, I'm not sure if that will stand if the DOJ finds a way to cure these charges and or the situation and refile the charges. But what would they need to do, Professor, to cure this problem?
Well, first of all, Letitia James might be celebrating a tad too early. The problems here are not with the charges themselves, but essentially with the cop, or in this case, the prosecutor. So the court is not saying that she was innocent of these charges. The court is simply saying that the person who signed off on the charges didn't have authority to do that. So the obvious thing here is to get someone who is lawfully in a position to perform this role. Usually after 120 days, the district court appoints someone as the replacement. They're going to have to work this one out. They're in it's rather uncharted territory here to make sure that the next person who signs is going to be beyond these types of questions. They could also appeal. You know, they're already past the original date, but the argument is that they do have a right to go back to the grand jury. So they may just appeal and say, look, we think we have a good argument here that, yes, there's that 120 days, but we have some rather novel sort of shifts that occurred here that we believe, do not trigger that final date, and that we had the ability to use Halligan in the way we did.
Jonathan, we're just getting a statement from the DOJ, which says it is reviewing options now. And we're also being told that the DOJ literally found out when we did, and they are now going over all the different scenarios. Your reaction to that?
Well, it's fitting because everything about this indictment seems to be rather rushed and improvisational. You know, when the Comey indictment came down, I noted that it seemed sort of disjunctive. I mean, what had happened is they took out this count, and the other two counts didn't exactly fit neatly together. And you got a sense of how quickly they had to get this through. And that, I think, sat badly with this judge. When we're talking about criminal prosecutions, judges really require great specificity and adherence to these procedures. And so I think that the Trump administration may have some, heavy lifting to do if they take this on appeal. But an appeal is an option, and they can seek review as to whether this rule has been too narrowly construed.
Yeah. So let's just go back over the timeline of it. So Eric Siebert was the interim U.S. attorney. He served for 120 days. Then it's my understanding that he was appointed by the court after that, but because he didn't want to follow through with this prosecution, he was removed from his position. And then how did Lindsay Halligan get in there, and why was her appointment illegal, according to the judge?
Well, she was then brought in and given effectively the same status, according to the court, that her predecessor had. And the court is saying you can't do that. You can't daisy chain these acting U.S. attorneys for 120 days each, because that could go on forever. It would gut the purpose of this rule. Now, the other criticisms of Halligan are really not that relevant. The criticisms about how much experience she has in criminal prosecutions, that's really not relevant at all.
Okay, Jonathan Turley on this breaking news for us. We are going to have more and hopefully reaction from the White House here shortly. We'll bring that to our viewers as we.
Okay, so that was one of the big videos. Other one I'm going to play. Cass doesn't normally play 17 minutes, so there's got to be a reason why he had that long. I was telling Kay about it, so we'll play that one, and then we'll get back to the short videos.
Workers to go on strike, and I will be there with them on that strike as well.
So, New York City's new mayor has wasted zero time taking control of the Democrat Party by calling for nationwide boycotts of Starbucks over what some unionized workers say is the outrageous pay of the company's CEO, who makes 6,000 times as much as a barista, which even a level 1 socialist will tell you has to be unfair. And as you're about to see, these protests could spread to other businesses in the near future.
While Starbucks refuses to come to the table and negotiate in good faith, they are profiting off the sweat of my brow. I work holidays and weekends, but Brian Nichols doesn't think my union is worth negotiating with.
What's the plan and how big could this get?
It could get really, really big nationwide.
Union members and their allies vowing to strike in 25 cities to kick off the holiday season and apply more pressure in their campaign to demand better working conditions. Starbucks has responded, saying their employees already have some of the best in the business at $30 an hour in pay and benefits.
The company is stonewalling and not coming to the bargaining table and giving us any decent proposals.
A company that has spent the last 4 years trying to break our union, committing the most labor rights violations in U.S. history.
So union spokesperson says, if they continue this, if they keep this up, Starbucks, their business could come to a grinding halt.
So when our new mayor isn't attacking Trump, he's attacking Starbucks, trying to shut them down. And what nobody's talking about is America is full of companies that don't pay their workers, as well as Starbucks, revealing that there are many targets out there for the communists to go after next. We're talking every business from Target to Taco Bell, as very few part-time entry-level service positions pay anything close to what's needed to afford life anywhere in America, let alone put yourself through college or buy a house. And the striking workers at Starbucks have made it clear they feel trapped, and they are. However, we're talking about part-time entry-level work here. These jobs, they do exist, yes, but not to enrich the worker, but rather as part of a corporate machine, which in fact is how every job works, no matter how much it pays, even the CEO's job. And the brutal reality of this strike is it reveals jobs exist and are offered to benefit the company first. And if there's time, the employee, which includes Starbucks itself. They'd get a cheaper CEO if they could. And if they need people to work as baristas or managers, they're going to figure out what they can afford to pay and then find workers desperate enough to accept those positions. But you know something? That brings us to the real reason why these strikes are happening. Starbucks is not the only company out there that wants to try and figure out how to pay its employees as little as possible. Every company wants to do this, but the problem is these workers who are striking, they do not understand what it is that allows these companies to get away with treating them this way. And that would be the formerly open U.S. border, which allowed 20 million unlawful immigrants to enter our country. And although you can't blame someone for coming here for a better life, you can blame politicians for incentivizing illegal immigration, knowing folks would be forced to work whatever job they can find, which is why it makes perfect sense. Big business has never cared about illegal immigration because wages are based on supply and demand. And if the supply of workers goes way up, well, this is what happens in the job market.
We are talking about a CEO of a company who made $96 million just last year. $96 million, which is 6,666 times the median Starbucks worker's salary.
He's 100% right. The CEO did make that much. Is that a lot of money? Absolutely. But we're missing the point. We're missing the reason why the CEO makes a ton of money and the workers in these very locations do not. Government corruption in America has rigged the game in favor of lower worker pay, which jacks up profits and helps CEOs earn more money. But when there are multiple qualified workers for an available position, companies don't tend to offer as much pay as they would if workers were less plentiful and less desperate. And adding to that desperation is the fact that many workers also have rent to pay.
Housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses.
Yeah, so if the number of people who need jobs goes way up, but the number of jobs stays about the same, and the number of people who need homes does the exact same thing, and we aren't building more homes, we're looking at an affordability crunch never before seen in America, which is exactly what's crushing our country right now. As the inflation all of us experience every single day is because of the simple supply and demand equation that runs every single economy getting flipped on its head because of 4 years of disastrous policies running America, which is a huge problem for these open border communists who want to talk about affordability. They can't seem to put two and two together, and that's because they don't want to.
That's the kind of disparity that we are seeing here. And what these workers are asking for is the bare minimum. They are asking for a salary that they can actually live off of. They are asking for hours they can actually build their life around.
So if you want a better life for the everyday working man in this country, which all of us do, you've got to understand that is impossible if corruption devalues that person's labor and that person's skills to a point where companies can exploit workers. And I want to be clear about something. Starbucks is not doing anything they have not been enabled to accomplish with the help of the government. They're not paying people less than minimum wage, but they certainly aren't paying people more than they have to. And since so many people are looking for jobs right now and looking for work and looking for extra hours because of terrible US government policies, they're getting away with paying people as little as possible, just like every other business that's out there. And what's fascinating is these policies not only enrich CEOs who are the enemy of the communists, but also their other enemy who are landlords. That's right, because now their homes are worth more as more people need homes and they can charge higher rents and sell them for more money. And it's not the fault of illegal immigrants that worker pay is low. Instead, it's the fault of politicians who decided to open our border and tell people laws don't matter, which gave greedy companies access to millions of additional workers. And look at this, by closing the border and deporting people who have broken America's laws, wages are starting to go up in this country. Plus, if everybody who gets deported leaves behind a job and an empty apartment, rents are going to come down as well. And someone will find work or pick up extra hours, two things that could really help folks who are here legally and are struggling at a company like Starbucks.
Brian Nickel made $96 million in 4 months. Sitting behind a desk, working full time, it would take me 2,941 years to earn the same amount. The union has been clear in contract negotiations. We want better take-home pay, more regular hours.
This worker is 100% right. She doesn't make as much as she probably should. But the problem is she doesn't understand the real way to punish a company like Starbucks is to make them pay workers more money. How do you do this? You do this by enforcing America's laws. You do this by protecting the right of people who are legitimately here to enjoy their lives and pursue happiness as they define it. You do not do that by opening the border. You do not do that by punishing these companies after they've benefited from a government-sponsored open border. No, because if you were to do that, if you were to go after these companies and punish them and put them out of business while keeping the border open, you're not solving anything. You're just keeping the problems that Americans are experiencing going. You're fueling the machine that leads to desperation and then the exploitation of every single worker in our economy by virtue of the devaluation of the skills they bring to the table. The Washington Post claims 1 million foreign-born workers have exited the workforce since March. The Post frames this as a sign of the weakening labor supply, which is good for workers because wages go up. And look at this. They are continuing to beat inflation in a boost to workers' spending power, which helps combat affordability. And then it says it right here. In other words, with fewer illegal immigrants, businesses have had to raise wages to attract workers. And look, even if Starbucks isn't hiring people who are in the country illegally, at least knowing it, if you've got an overall worker supply in this country, which has been inflated, and some companies are doing that, what does that do? That takes away opportunities from people who are here legitimately, thus forcing more people to perhaps seek employment at places like Starbucks than would have in a situation where the border was shut. And remember, this same individual is also getting crushed by the cost of their home, something these socialist policies have absolutely no plan.
Cooking leads to bad things, like some sodas who cook the flavor out of their ingredients.
To deal with.
Yeah, so a few things about that, Sean. First, we probably need to build about 5 million new homes. And if you look in the red states, we're actually doing a very good job. One of the biggest challenges that we have in the housing market, aside from too many illegal aliens who are taking the houses of American citizens, is that in the blue states, you're not building enough houses. So you go to California. Why are so many people moving out of California?
So the VP brings up a great point. People who live in areas of the country where housing is scarce suffer because of it. Now, why is housing scarce? Well, he just explained why housing is scarcer than it's ever been. We didn't build homes, and new people came here and needed homes. That's a recipe for disaster. A disaster that's only going to get worse in places like New York City, where the new mayor wants to freeze rents for rent-controlled apartments, which is just going to put pressure on the rents of market-rate apartments. Those rents are going to go through the roof because landlords are going to pay higher taxes and higher fees than ever before just for existing. And they're going to need to get the money for those fees and taxes from somebody, and that somebody is going to be the market rate tenants who make up the majority of New York City renters, because we're in a housing shortage, just like workers face a job shortage. Shortages are bad because they disenfranchise part of the economy. They disenfranchise renters. They disenfranchise workers. This is a bad thing. We need to correct these things, and punishing companies, punishing landlords while exacerbating these shortages isn't going to do a thing.
They are profiting off the sweat of my brow. I work holidays and weekends, but Brian Nichols doesn't think my union is worth negotiating with.
She's right. The CEO, unfortunately, doesn't think the union is worth negotiating with because he's right. The union isn't worth negotiating with. Now, of course, everybody wants to see workers at Starbucks, like this young person who are working very hard, earn more, and have a better life. But the problem is the game has been rigged in favor of these companies. They don't have to play this game. They don't have to improve things for workers because there are so many workers. Somebody's going to come along and say, you know what? We're not bothered by these conditions. We'll work at Starbucks. Sure, I'll work at Starbucks. I've been looking for a job forever. And look at this. Starbucks is not alone. Here we have Business Insider's chart of worker pay at the top 30 retailers in the U.S. Starbucks comes in at number 28 near the bottom, with annual worker pay at only around $14,000 less than the $17,000 the same worker would be getting at McDonald's if they work part-time there. And the brutal reality here is that a corrupt system has benefited companies who now don't have to pay more to attract workers. Starbucks doesn't want to pay what McDonald's pays. They don't want to pay what Target pays, and they apparently don't have to. And if you really want to punish a company like Starbucks, make them have a hiring problem. Shut down their ability to hire unlimited numbers of people with their current pay structure, and boom, wages are going to go up. But if you do that, you don't punish anybody. You don't take anybody to the cleaners the way the communists want, because they stay in business, they stay open, they maintain their freedom, and that is a problem for some people.
They deserve a city that has their back, and I am here to say that that is what New York City will be. My message to Starbucks management is that I stand here today to practice with these workers, and if you force these workers to go on strike, then I will be there with them on that strike as well.
So I have no doubt that the new mayor will be at any strike that takes place in New York City. But the problem is, none of his plans are going to help these workers. He's not going to bring down their rents by punishing landlords with the creation of new apartments that compete with them. He's going to punish them by freezing rents, but that's not going to work. And as far as Starbucks is concerned, the new mayor wants to maintain New York as a sanctuary city. The new mayor wants to keep the status quo going, which has enabled the exploitation of every single worker in our economy, whether they're here legally or illegally, which is sadly going to continue crushing workers who do work hard, but have been totally lied to by a rigged system that they don't fully understand. But here we are in 2025, Starbucks, they're ranking 28 out of 30 on that list that we saw. Apparently, they're not the best, but how bad is a job at Starbucks anyway?
Starbucks has responded saying their employees already have some of the best in the business at $30 an hour in pay and benefits at some 17,000 coffee houses around the country, and insisting they've also poured in $500 million to improve staffing and training. But union members say it's not enough.
Right. So the idea that Starbucks is so awful, nobody will work there, doesn't really hold water, because they got 17,000 locations. They're not all unionized locations. But what we're talking about here is a tedious balance. The affordability crisis in this country has gotten so bad because of lawless activity in this country that many people find themselves tapped out. And just because people are applying at a job like Starbucks today doesn't mean they're going to be able to afford their rent tomorrow. But the good news is things are getting better. They're already getting much better in this country as far as affordability is concerned.
Things are getting better. The price of eggs has gone way down. The price of energy has gone way down. The price of gasoline has gone way down. And as we know, when the price of energy goes down, that starts to filter out into the entire economy, but that also takes a little bit of time.
Right. So what made all of those things go up? Why were eggs so expensive under the last president? Well, because of stupid decisions. Why was gas so expensive? Well, because people didn't want you to have gas and drive a gasoline car. They wanted you to buy an electric car. And you know something? When all of our food gets to where it needs to be, gets to your dinner table because of gasoline, not only when you drive to the store and buy it, but when trucks deliver it, when it gets shipped across the country. I mean, that is a major factor in how much things cost. And the real problem here is that the socialists and the communists, they are right to recognize that we have an affordability crisis in this country, but this is not their issue. All socialism does is increase poverty for everybody. There is no socialist country on this planet that's put in policies like destroying businesses and freezing rents and rigging the economy even more that has achieved wealth for its population. What we really need here is to enforce our laws, pursue common sense policies, do that stuff, and Americans will get back to a situation where things are affordable and the American dream exists once again for people who are here legally. What do you think about that? Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.
Okay, that was a good one. Important one. 5 minutes.
Breaking hot off the press, Democrat Senator Mark Kelly faces court-martial after Department of War
Well,
launches
some
review
of
of
it
allegations
tried to
of
come to class
misconduct.
tonight.
This is the official
And
statement. The Department of War has received serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly, U.S. Navy retired, in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice 10 U.S. Code 688 and other applicable regulations. A thorough review of these allegations has been initiated to determine further actions, which may include recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring due process and impartiality. Further official comments will be limited to preserve the integrity of the proceedings. The Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to the UCMJ for applicable offenses and federal laws, such as 18 U.S. Code 2387 prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed
all right,
forces. Any
get her
violations will
that
be addressed
Lisa's
through
house.
appropriate legal channels. All service members are reminded that they have a legal obligation under the UCMJ to obey lawful orders and that orders are presumed to be lawful. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse the disobedience of an otherwise lawful order. So Pete Hegseth, the Department of War, is getting the job done. This is absolutely mind-bending what we're witnessing here. A sitting U.S. senator potentially being court-martialed, being brought out of retirement to face a serious judicial process under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. This is not like cosplay. This is not a slap on the wrist. This is not a strongly worded letter from Jim Jordan. If this investigation leads to finding that Mark Kelly commit a crime, he will be brought before a military judge, a panel of military officers, potentially stripped of his rank and thrown in prison. And this is a completely different judicial process than what we're familiar with. The military judges aren't appointed by the president. They're not confirmed by the Senate. They're supposed to be completely unbiased and nonpartisan, and their only duty is to uphold the ethics of the military, bound to the UCMJ, not partisan politics. So this is absolutely mind-bending what we're witnessing right now, or could witness, I should say, because I don't want to get too hyperbolic. Right now, it's an investigation. We don't know where this is going to lead. But man, just the spectacle of it, the fact that we have a sitting U.S. senator potentially being court-martialed for sedition is absolutely groundbreaking. Now, I want to transition to something else here because I don't even know what's going on right now because Trump, I have not seen him get this fired up about something in a long time. And the stuff that he's posting on True Social makes me feel like there's something much, much bigger going on right now. He is posting very Q adjacent things. We have this post up at the top left, time to obliterate the deep state. This one, TikTok. This one down here about military tribunals. And then this one, remember your oath. All of this is very, very much a nod to Q. And I mean, he's been posting nonstop about these senators and representatives that posted that video. And I don't get into the Q stuff, but Trump is absolutely not being subtle with referencing it. And part of me is starting to feel like there is something that the Democrats were aware of, some sort of order that he was planning to give or is still planning to give that they wanted to get out in front of and try to get military members to disobey the order that's coming down the pipeline soon. That's just a hunch. I mean, it's total speculation, but I feel like there's something much bigger going on here right now, and maybe you guys have the answer. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section. As always, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and if you want to save money, go to mypillow.com, enter promo code Nick. We're going to stay on top of this every step of the way, so don't miss an update. Turn the notifications on. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.
Okay, that's that one. I got some news out of Minnesota. Oh, wait. Let's play this one.
This Tuesday morning, the National Senator Canavan. Good to see you, Matt. What did you make of what went on yesterday?
It debases our parliament, turns it into a circus act. But this is how these crossbench senators live. This is their oxygen, is this type of controversy and outrage. Seen it from Sarah Hanson-Young with the dead fish last week. We saw it with Lydia Thorpe interrupting the King. This is just how they operate. And it's not the sort of parliament I think the Australian people want. We should be here to debate major issues. We should be here to try and get change to make this country better. But instead, we're interrupted constantly by these stunts from the crossbenchers who are more interested in a headline than they are in getting an outcome.
There's no doubt that Pauline Hanson is enjoying the polls, the surge in support at the moment, but do you feel a need to push back on One Nation to stop some coalition support from drifting further to the right?
Look, I don't think One Nation is the answer, and I think yesterday demonstrated that. This stunt was disrespectful to Muslim Australians. As I said, it cheapens our own nation's parliament, and it doesn't win you anything. And ultimately, I want to win for the Australian people, and I don't think the One Nation Party have any record of doing that. Look, both myself and Pauline Hanson have been fighting against this net zero madness for 4 years. After 4 years, Pauline Hanson has precisely 4 senators in the parliament against net zero. I now, with the work I've done with many other members of the Liberal and National team, have 70 members of the Liberal National team in the parliament against net zero. It's 70-4. And so if you want to win, you've got to join a side that has the potential to get the numbers in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's the only way you deliver change. Otherwise, if you vote for One Nation and you go with them, you're left with these kind of stunts, which might give you a momentary time of glee. But ultimately, you wake up the next day and Anthony Albanese is still the Prime Minister. So I don't think One Nation can win. They have no record of that. They have no record of building a team. And that's why I'm fighting within the LNP to get the change I think is necessary for Australia.
Have you told Barnaby Joyce all of that, Matt?
I sure have. And look, I think that's, look, Barnaby couldn't defend Pauline yesterday, right? He was asked and he refused to comment. And come on, Barnaby. Do you really want to go and join the circus? Or do you want to stay in a real team that's really focused on delivering change?
Well,
Barnaby signed up to net zero when he was Deputy Prime Minister. Barnaby agreed to the Paris Agreement when he was a senior cabinet minister in a coalition government. He did that because he knew that being part of this broader team was what was the best thing to deliver outcomes for the people we fight for and represent. It's only now that he's trying to jump ship because he doesn't see a future in the Nationals Party for himself. But that seems to me raise the question, is this move from Barnaby about the Australian people or is it about himself? And I'm here to deliver results. And I think I've got a record of that. We've won elections fighting on the issues that I care about, and hopefully we will again in 2028.
That's a pretty strong line there against Barnaby Joyce. This all comes, we showed you the pictures. He's had dinner with Pauline Hanson in her office last night. They shared a steak. She has now made a formal offer for him to join One Nation. Do you think he's going to go?
So.
Look, it's turning into a longer saga than Days of Our Lives, so I think people are all sick and tired of it. But, as I say, look, yesterday he couldn't even support Pauline's Burqa Act, and it seems to me there's already now fights before they've exchanged vows. So, how's this going to turn out? Pauline has struggled. She's got a lot of things that I respect her for, but Pauline has struggled to build a team, to keep people with her. And I've told Barnaby, and I fear that if he does make this move, it's probably all going to end in tears like it has for so many others with Pauline.
What did you make of cooking a steak on a sandwich press, by the way?
Yeah, I'm not going over to her office for one anytime soon. I haven't done that before. But you do get pretty rudimentary utensils here in Parliament House. Well, it's not the glamorous life that some might have you believe.
Well, 10 points for trying. It's not like you have stoves in there.
Yep. Yeah, I think someone had a George Foreman grill once. So Sam Dastiari had a George Foreman grill. He used to smoke up the whole hallway with it. But maybe she should try for that.
Good to see you, Matt Canavan. Thank you.
Hey, Sky News for JJ. I found this one. Oh, not that one.
Comey?
Excuse me. I'm answering a question.
Turned and looked at me. I'm sorry.
I turned and looked at you because you're yelling. I will take a question from your colleague, and then I'll take your question
Thank
too.
you.
Okay? Go ahead.
What are exactly the points of disagreement that they are still working on?
I don't want to detail sort of the technical talks that are happening right now, but there are just a couple, and we're confident that we'll be able to work through those.
The president put pressure on Putin or Zelensky if this doesn't work.
The president's been putting a lot of pressure on both leaders for this entire time. We've been talking with both sides. He's been talking to both leaders directly for 10 months now. So yes, you can expect that pressure to continue. The president wants this war to end.
Caroline, is the president more determined now since the judge's ruling today to go after James Comey and Tish James? And if so, why?
I wouldn't say he's going after them. I think the president is more determined than ever to see accountability in this country, yes, and to correct the wrongs of the weaponization of our justice system that we saw under the previous administration and Joe Biden.
Are we entering a new phase in Venezuela, and what does that entail?
Well, as the president is so good at, I'll try to be just as good. I'm not going to broadcast any actions that may or may not be happening with respect to Venezuela. I know I've been very clear about the administration's position, as has the president and his national security team. We view the Maduro regime as being illegitimate, and the president has been very satisfied with the successful strikes against narco-terrorists and foreign terrorists that are illegally trafficking drugs towards the United States of America. He's not going to tolerate that, and you can expect to see those strikes continue.
What was President Trump's reaction to those indictments against Comey and James being thrown out?
His reaction was, we've seen this before. We've seen partisan judges take unprecedented steps to try to intervene in accountability before, but we're not going to give up. And I know that the Department of Justice intends to appeal these rulings very soon. If they haven't already, I may have missed it.
Caroline, one question on Venezuela. Is there any planned meeting for this week on Venezuela? And another one, a clarification on this weekend, because the president was asked about the former Brazilian president being arrested, and he mentioned that he spoke with this gentleman. Did he speak with Bolsonaro the day before he was arrested?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know if that call took place or not. It may have. I can get you a firm answer on that, Raquel. I know it's of great importance to you for your reporting. As for meetings on Venezuela, there's meetings on a range of topics inside this building all of the time. And the president is constantly apprised of what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news. And he's very well written into all of the things that his team are working on.
Caroline, please. You would not go into the sticking points of the disagreement between the two parties in the Ukraine peace process, but how flexible is the president in coming to a deal, and will the Europeans be part of a final negotiation that starts to?
I think he's been quite flexible already. We've been watching this war go on for 10 months. He's talked to both leaders countless times. Our team has engaged with both the Russians and the Ukrainians extensively. As I said, there is a sense of urgency. The president wants to see this deal come together, and he wants to see this war end.
I took control, went solo, and built my own online knife empire.
Okay, that's it on that one. Okay, I got the clips. I got a new lady from Minnesota. Has a 7-parter. They're short clips. But we're going to do this one first.
Absolutely should censure Mills and hold their own to the same standards they demand from Democrats. You can't preach accountability while hiding your own guy behind the curtain of alleged harassment and stolen valor. So let me know if you agree, or am I over here on an island by myself? Wouldn't be the first time. As for Stacey Plaskett, she may have survived censure, but now she's twisting herself into mental pretzels on live television, trying to justify her Epstein interactions. Watch this plea where she begs everybody to just move on and warns we must be careful when criticizing people who had involvement with Epstein. Translation, that rule only applies when a Democrat is involved. So just to be clear, you can take donations and engage with a sex offender as long as he's giving you dirt against your political opponents. Got it. Write that down. And in this whole Epstein saga, CNN suddenly trying to win back some credibility. Watch Caitlin Collins actually hold Hakeem Jeffries' feet to the fire over an email involving the House Minority Leader and Epstein. This is impressive. It doesn't happen often, so don't blink. Holy Hannah, that was painful. His final answer was basically, I will not be answering questions today. I mean, maybe he should file his own resolution to ban follow-up questions. Now, at that point, Caitlin Collins, she decided to twist that knife a little deeper and turn the focus onto Jeffries himself. Watch his cadence while he's answering this. He slows down to about half speed, like he's buffering in real time, trying to make sure not a single syllable accidentally admits something. Of course, he has no recollection of the email. They never, ever do. And Democrats, they better be careful what they wish for, because something tells me Washington is about to get real entertaining as these files roll out. I mean, we're going to see some politicians spinning, stuttering, probably going to see a little bit of memory loss and backpedaling like they're trying out for Cirque du Soleil reboot. And nowhere was that panic more obvious than on CNN. Scott Jennings pointed out the obvious, right? If there was anything on Trump and the Epstein files, it would have already been leaked, tweeted, published, and stapled to every lamppost in America. But apparently stating basic logic now counts as racist. Yeah. Watch how fast this panel drags the conversation right off a cliff. Yeah, the classic move. When you can't win on facts, just go ahead and pull the race card like it's an emergency eject button. I mean, and did you catch it? Abby Phillip, who is also Black, she agreed with Scott that this was an IQ test about the argument, not the man. But Joshua Dossie just blew right past that inconvenient detail and still managed to twist it into a racism accusation. These people are literally incapable of speaking outside their own narrative bubble. And if reality doesn't fit their script, they'll just accuse someone of racism and call it a day, which is what we're going to do. Up next, Zohran Mamdani is about to blow your mind, mostly with how shameless of a politician he can be. His latest video is a masterclass in entitlement. He is begging for donations again. Yeah, it's even worse this time. And he's actually shaming New Yorkers for not throwing more money at him than they already have. He needs to go. I want to hear your thoughts, but I personally think Republicans absolutely.
Okay, that was part 2. I got part 1 now. See what this. Oh. We'll play this one. This one's 4 minutes.
Financial empire. It could also be the birth of a new human renaissance, just like the last renaissance saved human beings
I did
from
a
the death
video
spiral of the Dark Ages.
Yeah, we just did Betty's video.
The American people have to reject the psychological warfare operations which already have been launched in response against Trump, J.D. Vance, and MAGA by the empire's U.S. agents. Here's Senator Eric Schmidt talking yesterday about the military realities which both the Europeans and Dick Cheney's heirs and Washington's security state want us to ignore.
I think President Trump approaches this as a realist, right? You take the world as it is, not how you want it to be, not how you wish it would be, but actually how it is. And the truth of the matter is, and a lot of people won't say it, is the Ukrainians have been losing for a long time. They've lost 20% of their territory. They have a manpower problem. They have a munitions problem. I think what President Trump is trying to accomplish is maintain Ukrainian sovereignty, make sure there's a pathway to rebuild the country, and also lessen the likelihood that this will ever happen again. And so they put forward a proposal, a framework. Secretary of State Rubio, the Secretary of the Army Driscoll, they're all in Geneva right now, working with the Ukrainians, working with the Europeans to try to get to some consensus here on the 28 points. I would say that most of those, at least half of those, have been talked about for a long time, and there's a lot of agreement. So you got to narrow the gap now and try to get to a place where you recognize the realities on the ground. And I have to say that the Washington consensus has been so wrong about this, Shannon, for so long, and they've been wrong about a lot of things over the last 30 years. President Trump is coming in and saying, we want to actually end the killing, because the people that are critical of this right now, they don't really have another plan. And they live in this fantasy world that another round of sanctions or another round of weapons or another round of cash is going to solve the problem, and it won't. And so I think you recognize the realities and you try to bring the parties together to end the war and make sure this doesn't happen again.
And here's President Trump over the weekend answering a reporter who asked, what happens if Zelensky doesn't accept the plan?
Is this your final offer to Ukraine?
No, we'd like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. So well, then he can continue to fight his little heart out.
Everyone knows that Trump meant that Zelensky can continue to fight his little heart out without the United States. With the exception of Axios, there hasn't been much discussion in the U.S. media about the months-long genesis of Trump's secret plan. It didn't leak. Social media and the British press are filled with claims about Europe's counterplan. which is just the same old blather and really doesn't even exist, as Marco Rubio emphasized yesterday.
The counter proposals of the European, the counter plan of the Europeans.
I'm not aware of counter plan. Can you put I haven't seen any counter plan. All right, guys, thank you.
I'm Barbara Boyd, and I have followed and documented the 50-year British imperial attack on the United States, which began in August of 1971, when Richard Nixon destroyed the post-war Bretton Woods system. Simultaneously, they imposed the post-industrial consumer society and its mentally deadly counterculture. That's what Donald Trump is reversing. Today, I'm going to first talk about the economics of this peace proposal and what we can glean so far as to how it came about. Then I'm going to discuss Vice President Vance's discussion of the state of the MAGA movement ahead of the midterms. He was interviewed last week on Thursday, and he said a lot about this very important topic to all of us. So let's dig in. If you appreciate what we here at Promethean Action do, please.
Okay, that was 3-minute one. Yeah, hey, Alpha, I've been on. I never stopped. There's been a lot of changes. Kay's been the only mod, but then Lisa came in and got her to be a mod. I made it over the 1 million mark. And I don't know if you knew about my mother dying August 2024. And then my dad died in March. If it wasn't for the show, I wouldn't make it through. So I'm hanging in there, and I made it over the 1 million mark, and I need about 3,000 more to get the super chat. I got the big channel back. Well, everybody did. So that's the latest updates. And then Kay dropped the pay for coffee and all the other stuff. And 5 o'clock is my new time.
Things that are negative. I promise you, it's not what I want. But at the same time, I feel like I have to make sure that I'm keeping people abreast on what's really going on.
Thanks, Alpha.
The administration dropped the ball today, and it's not Trump's fault. It is 100% Pam Bondi. I said yesterday that I did not feel that Pam Bondi was in Trump's corner. Either she was against him or she was incompetent. Either way, she has to go. I understand that there are people that are telling you that, oh, well, Pam Bondi, she's working out something in the background. I don't see it. I don't believe it. The reason why I don't believe it is because Pam Bondi was not Donald Trump's first choice. He knew Pam Bondi. He had a chance to make her the first choice. He chose someone else in the state of Florida, Matt Gaetz, and the establishment said absolutely not. They threw a fit over Matt Gaetz. But for whatever reason, the establishment said, okay, to Pam Bondi. That should have been the first clue for most people. But today we see that not only Letitia James, but we also see that James Comey, that their cases were dismissed, that they were dropped by the Clinton judge. So the people on the right-wing news is saying, oh, the Clinton judge, he dropped the case and because he's corrupt. Possibly, but what else would you expect from a Clinton judge? The people on the left are saying Trump picked this prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan. Lindsay Halligan was picked directly from Trump, and Trump just made a huge mistake in her appointment. So they're trying to paint this to be on Trump as being his oversight. And the right wing is trying to blame the Clinton appointed judge. Both of them are wrong as far as I'm concerned. Both of them are wrong. This falls squarely on the shoulders of Pam Bondi. Donald Trump might have picked Lindsay Halligan and says, I want her to go after or to try these cases. But it's still up to Pam Bondi to make sure that all T's are dotted, or all T's are crossed and all I's are dotted. It's up to her to make sure that the appointment is done properly. Why do I say that? Because that was exactly the same defense that we used as it pertains to Jack Smith. Do you guys not remember us talking about Jack Smith not even 2 years ago? We were saying, wait a minute, this guy is completely illegal. He was not appointed properly. He needs to be taken off the case. We used the exact same defense. So why would Trump, knowing that we had just used that defense, why would he appoint her? He didn't. This is not on Trump. This is on his AG. She dropped the ball. So once again, the question is it ignorance or is it malicious intent? Either way, as far as I'm concerned, Pam Bondi has to go because she's holding up the train. She's not doing her job properly. If she put as much energy into trying this case and making sure that Lindsay Halligan was that she was ready to go and that her appointment was done properly, if she put as much energy into that as she did in trying to push hate speech laws after Charlie Kirk died or was killed or murdered, if she would have put as much energy into that, then we would probably be going to try these cases and getting a conviction. But her mind has been on the wrong thing from day one. And I'm going to stand on exactly my principles and say she has to go. Let me know if I'm wrong. If you guys...
Trump said both sides are evil. Yeah, Alpha, I guess you won't believe that came in last week. Conservative Cowboy came in and did what you're doing. So that was good to see that go on. But glad you're back. And Craig came in here too. Rocksteady did it once. So we're getting everybody back little by little. Okay. This is part one from the other. We did part two. This is part one.
To hide behind. James Comer just promised the full ban in Navarro, cuff and stuff, if Bill and Hillary keep ghosting those Epstein subpoenas. Meanwhile, Jazzy Jasmine, she tried to light Republicans on fire with her gotcha Epstein donors list, only to have it spectacularly explode right in her face. She's now quieter than a Democrat on Hunter's laptop.
Oh, hey, Paul.
And something that made me a little irritated. A small group of Republicans tanked their chance to censure Plaskett, all to protect Corey Mills. Many Republicans now furious and say they're going to attempt to throw their own guy under the bus. As always, like the video and subscribe if you're... And I'm sure, absolutely sure, Democrats will be standing shoulder to shoulder with Comer on this one. I mean, they practically wrote the rule book. After all, it was Adam Schiff who said this in 2022. Prosecution of those who refuse to comply with a lawful subpoena is vital to ensuring congressional oversight has teeth. Otherwise, Congress cannot function as the founders intended. The balance of power becomes unbalanced, and a corrupt executive can't be held to account. So the million-dollar question now is, what's the shorter sentence for the Clintons? Refusing to comply with the subpoena or actually admitting what they've done? And while Democrats pretend to be the sudden champions of accountability, here comes Eric Swalwell. Yeah, the guy who couldn't even outsmart a Chinese spy, now trying to play Capitol Hill tough guy. Watch him attempt to scare Kristi Noem and Tom Homan like he's running some kind of congressional mafia. Take a look. Oh, bless his heart. He really thinks anyone is scared of him. Tom Homan, I mean, he has stared down cartel leaders. He's not losing sleep over Eric Swalwell. Now, while Eric Swalwell flails in his own little fantasy world, Jasmine Crockett is learning a hard lesson the internet certainly won't forget. Last night, she marched onto the House floor ready to smear Republicans that she claimed took money from Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, wait until you see this. She threw the accusation and it boomeranged right back into her forehead. Now let me show you the whiplash hypocrisy. Watch how Democrats talk about an Epstein story when it involves a Republican versus when it involves their own party. When Jamie Raskin talks about Trump, Epstein becomes the criminal mastermind lurking in every shadow of the universe. But when Raskin has to explain why Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett was texting with him, suddenly Epstein is just a friendly neighborhood constituent who maybe needed a pothole filled. This is Olympic level mental gymnastics. If hypocrisy were a sport, Raskin just stuck the landing and waved at the judges. Now, there was an attempt to censure Stacey Plaskett last night, but it failed in a Republican majority House. I'm not happy about this. Why? Because Democrats threatened to censure Florida Republican Corey Mills, which would boot him off the Armed Services Committee if the Republicans dared to follow through on Plaskett. For Republicans, folded like a lawn chair. And just so you know, this is the third time Democrats have used Corey Mills as a bargaining chip, and every single time the GOP lets it happen. Not all Republicans were thrilled. Here's Anna Paulina Luna, and the Clintons louder than a Benghazi alarm. And this time...
Okay, those are 1 and 2. Yeah, this lady we just started following about a month ago. She does a really good job and a lot of followers. So this one are about under 3 minutes clips out of Minnesota. Oh, it's part 7.
This is where everything changes. For years, Minnesota officials have acted like this fraud, waste, and chaos was too big to fix. But that's a lie. Every dollar in public programs should have a trail. Mandatory audits, real-time tracking, independent oversight, and not the same agency just checking over their work. Audit everything. Whistleblowers need power. No more silencing. No more retaliation. Whistleblowers should be protected, rewarded, and heard, because every major scandal in history was exposed by one person who refused to stay quiet. If you're handling taxpayer money or making decisions about families and children, you must be trained, licensed, and accountable. No more unqualified workers, no fake oversight, and no more loopholes. What's needed is transparency. Budgets, payouts, investigations should all be made public, not hidden in emails, not buried in reports, not locked behind bureaucracy. The public deserves to see where their money goes. We need to see real consequences. Where there's fraud, prosecute it.
Oh, that's not Chico.
Fire people. Cover-ups, expose them. Because where there are no consequences, corruption becomes a habit. Can anybody say Minnesota? And here's the part nobody wants to admit. This isn't about a community. It's not about an ethnicity. It's not even about politics. It's about a system that failed, and it will continue to fail unless people start demanding better. If Minnesota can lose millions, if families can be torn apart, if oversight can collapse this easily, then the real power is not in the system. It's in us. Comment enough if you're ready for part 8. The plan.
Okay, it's all mixed up, but she's pretty good. You think? This is.
Just dropped a bombshell, and it is so much bigger than anybody even realized. Investigators say millions My guess is it could be up in the billions. In Minnesota, welfare money was stolen through fake daycare centers, fake attendance list, and organized fraud rings. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about. Some of that money, it didn't stay in Minnesota. According to reporting by City Journal, some of that money has gone overseas to Somalia. But that's not the end of it. Very likely it went into a territory controlled by Al-Shabaab, which is an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist organization. Let that one sink in. Our tax dollars hard at work against us. Now, these are allegations by investigators and journalists. And no, I don't believe every Somali person is involved, but this is information that the public has a right to know about. We are talking about taxpayer money meant to help families, children, childcare being funneled to one of the deadliest terror organizations in the world. How does this even happen? How does that much money go missing? Where was the oversight? Where were the audits? If Minnesota can lose millions of dollars like this, you got to wonder what else is slipping through the cracks. Because let's be real here. Where there's money, there's motive. And when there's no oversight, anything can happen there. Okay, so if you'd like a part 2 on this and want to learn more about how was the fraud done and why did nobody do anything about it?
She's right.
Then comment part 2. And as always, if you like content.
Okay, we'll do 2 more and I got to get going on Benny videos. I don't know if I'll get to them all or not. Did we do part 6?
Fair. It's CPS too. Part 6 of our series.
I don't think
DHS oversees both child protection funding and welfare programs. Guess what both have in common? No audits, no accountability, no verification. Just like daycare attendance gets rubber stamped, CPS decisions get rubber stamped too. They have unlicensed workers, wrongful removals, no internal investigations, no checks on county actions. It's the same system and the same failure. When oversight collapses, children and money are at risk. When there's no accountability, money gets stolen. Families get torn apart. Children get placed with strangers unnecessarily. This isn't a coincidence. It's a pattern. And this is the part people hate hearing. But if a system can lose millions of dollars without noticing, that same system can easily mishandle CPS cases without anyone questioning it. Fraud, child protection, welfare, it's all connected. One system, one problem. If you want part 7 to this, how this mess can be fixed, how to hold Minnesota accountable, let me know. Comment.
See what this one is. That's shoot. Okay, we'll go ahead and get going on many videos. Wait, we'll get one more. Part 5. Ah, my bad. Sorry. What? I guess this is the second one, you guys, right? I didn't.
As well as he makes a very bold claim about Joe Biden's
this,
auto
right?
pen scandal. Now, I want to talk mostly about the NGO scandal because we now have Reuters claiming that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, that was headed by Elon Musk, it was Trump's first order of business when he took office to fix all the fraud, waste, and abuse they're claiming doesn't exist. And it's been completely disbanded with 8 months left to go on its charter. Now, if that's the case, that would be very concerning considering that's the agency that's supposed to expose and rectify this level of fraud. However, I happen to think otherwise. I think there's some things in the works right now going on behind the scenes, which I'll lay out after we go through this video and expose what Trump wanted to share with everybody on Truth Social. So let's go ahead and play the video, and then we will talk about it.
Almost 1,000 NGOs, non-government organizations working out of Afghanistan. I had Marco Rubio in committee, and I asked him, we're giving the Taliban 40 million. This is just an example. 40 million a week. 2 years I've been working on this. I got a freaking memo from the dadgum State Department, and they're no friends of mine. They're no friends of this country. That's the deep state there ever was one. They have, they've told us that we've given them close to $5 billion, and we're still doing it because it goes to the NGOs. The Democrats fought that amendment that we added NGOs into the bill. Why? Because there's 1,000 NGOs, and you know good and well that money's coming right back to Washington. That's what Elon told us.
Now, let me pause it right there because that's a pretty bold claim that we are funding the Taliban and the Democrats are fighting to continue funding the Taliban. So I want to at least give you guys a little more context here of what he's referring to and how this all works. So this was actually a press release from Timberchet, but it was posted by the Daily Caller as well. According to an August 2023 World Bank report, the UN has purchased, transported, and transferred $2.9 billion in U.S. currency to Afghanistan since August 2021. This included $1.8 billion provided in 2022 and $1.1 billion provided in 2023 as of August 2023. The United Nations flies the cash from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan Central Bank, which is managed by a terrorist who is on an active U.S. sanctions list. That bank then holds an auction where groups bid to take those dollars and convert it to the local currency. Every week, the winner of that auction is someone associated with the Haqqani Network, a terror group with ties to Al-Qaeda. These terrorists take the money and convert it to Afghani to distribute. Some of that money stays with the Haqqani Network. Some goes to the terrorists running the bank, and the rest of the money is given to the local implementing parties, or NGOs. Now, the Taliban is actually the group handing out NGO licenses in Afghanistan. If a Taliban sympathizer asks for an NGO license, they get it. So many of these groups send money directly to the Taliban or to support the families of suicide bombers. Now, how that money gets back to the Democrats, how that money gets back to Washington, D.C., in the form of money laundering, I'm not so sure I understand that paper trail here, but I do remember a very prominent figure, Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX. Remember when he went down for fraud and it was found out that, we were sending money over to Ukraine. Ukraine had a partnership with FTX, And that money was going into Sam Bankman-Fried's pocket, the money we were sending with our tax dollars over to Ukraine. And then Sam Bankman-Fried took that money and then gave it to a bunch of Democrats for their campaigns. So there's an example of how foreign aid gets laundered back to Washington, D.C. So I'm no stranger to stuff like this. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's why they're fighting against, stopping sending money to the Taliban. Now, let's go ahead and get back into the video where Tim Burchett exposes Biden's auto pen scandal. But first, if you haven't already, be sure to click that like button and subscribe. And if you guys want to save a ton of money, as always, you can go to mypillow.com, use promo code Nick at checkout, take advantage of the Black Friday sale that's going on right now and save a ton of money and support the show. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the video.
Paper trail runs right back. Now, can I find it? No, I don't have access to those kind of computers, but that's why they're squealing. They're squealing about it.
So squealing about USAID cuts, you're saying that our suspicions are confirmed that the money that's spent at USAID goes right back into Democrat campaign coffers.
Almost 100%. Almost 100%. There's still some Republicans, I think, if they are, that's why leadership, they sent somebody to see me. They sent my buddy, and he sits beside me. Tim, man, some of the chairman are kind of upset what you said, and, go through all this stuff. And I said, but it's the truth, right? He goes, well, yeah, we know it's the truth, but you just can't keep saying it. And I keep saying it. So that's why I always tell people I'm not suicidal.
You made a lot of news on our show saying that you believe that there could have been some real payola with some of these Biden
have pardons. To be 8,000 pardons. I said 2,000, and it's come out. Somebody said something
8,000.
8,000 freaking pardons. You think Joe couldn't remember what he'd had for breakfast? He couldn't remember where the dadgum bathroom was. And he reviewed 8,000 files on pardons. Give me a freaking break. This is so shady, and it's just Washington, D.C. It happens every day. That's the thing. It happens all the time. But with Trump in there, we're focusing on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And every department is suspect. And, you just can't get past it.
Apply for a HELOC with Citizens Fast Line and go from application to offer in minutes.
Now, Tim Burchett claims that the Biden administration was actually selling pardons, which would be the biggest scandal in American history. And I haven't seen the receipts for that, so I'm not going to say I know that to be an absolute fact, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, why else would you pardon 8,000 people with an auto pen unless you're getting something out of the deal? It's absolutely scandalous stuff. But I want to come back to the NGO thing, because Donald Trump is posting this to his Truth Social. He's exposing Washington, D.C.'s best-kept dirty little secret, which is no longer a secret. And this NGO network, it goes far beyond just funding the Taliban. I mean, a couple years ago, we were exposing Catholic Charities and several other NGOs out in Arizona and how they were engaging in ballot harvesting, helping to rig elections. We know that NGOs are responsible for the mass immigration. We know that they're part of money laundering. We know that NGOs are absolutely a way for the government to do things that would ordinarily be illegal for the government to do, like spying on us, data collection, things like this. NGOs have become part of the massive government bureaucracy and how they do illegal and unconstitutional things on behalf of the government and receive our tax dollars in return. Now, the question becomes, what is going to be done about it? We do know that the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, has paused grant funding to NGOs that are facilitating illegals coming into the country, but there's a whole lot more to be done. And we're being told that DOJ has been disbanded with 8 months left on its charter. However, we did just see recently that Elon was seen at the White House. And we saw that he posted on X, thank you to the president for everything he's done for the country and the world. So clearly that little feud that they had, that little spat, either it was kayfabe or they've gotten through it and now they're back on great terms. So could we see Elon come back into the fold, come back and finish the job that he started? Maybe. I mean, there's 8 months left. There's still time. There's a lot that needs to be done. And Trump is posting this to his Truth Social page, letting us all know he knows exactly what's going on. And so now the question is, well, what are you going to do about it? And I don't think he's going to leave these stones unturned, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think he's just going to allow this to continue to go on. Now, we know there's a bit of a rift between Trump and Pam Bondi and the DOJ, he's been calling on her like, arrest somebody now. He's getting sick and tired of the lack of action and the lack of accountability on the deep state. So I think either Pam Bondi is going to get her ass into gear or she's going to be replaced. And so I think that things are going to start heating up here soon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments.
Okay, that was two of them today that Nick had. That was two good ones from them. I got Trump's old lawyer, 4 minutes.
You all probably know this already. I also had the great pleasure and burden of serving as his attorney for the first few years of him being out of office. And when I told him that I wanted to switch to the campaign, I decided that it was important to me. I had made that switch right before the RNC. I'm sure some of you saw the RNC, and if you saw my speech, one of the foremost issues I wanted to raise and let the American people know, even though I've been in the public eye for some time, is that I'm really proud of my faith and I'm really proud of my culture. My parents, my parents were born and raised in Baghdad, although here I'd say Baghdad. And, in America, they call me Alina Haba, but at home, I'm Alina Haba. And I love where I'm from. I am proud of it. But more importantly, it has given me a purpose and why we have to represent and re-elect President Trump for the 47th president. And that is because of the journey that my family took for me to have a life here. And if we do not protect it, we will not have a country any different than the ones that we have fled, the one that we have left, where your voices don't matter and voting doesn't matter. And I do disagree with one thing one of the speakers said, the lovely lady who was part of the C4. While I appreciate that the Chaldean vote might be 49%, my message to you is that it's not good enough. We can do better.
Right.
So don't be lackadaisical. The message is not that 49% is good. That's not the message. It's not good enough. It's not even close. Because in Michigan in particular, with the Chaldean community, my community, we can flip this state, and we have to do it or we will lose our country.
Amen. Right.
So I want to speak about things that you don't get to hear me speak about on TV, things that are important to me, our faith, our children, and morals. The moral compass in this country under the Democrat Party is completely deteriorated, diminished. They have no faith, and the only thing they do is fear-mongering. And fear-mongering is to make you afraid of Donald Trump, to make you afraid of him by telling you that he's a criminal, he's a this, he's a that, maybe he's loud, but you don't have to have dinner with him. You don't have to do business with him. I have the honor of doing that. But I will tell you this, you do have to recognize that he will protect our children from being indoctrinated by teachers with no morals, with no God, who want to take our voices away as parents and tell our children what they should be and to not tell their parents and take away our voice. And that I will not stand for. That's why I stand for. So I've said this a few times and I really believe this, the opposite of fear is faith. And if you do not have faith, you have nothing. I obviously am a very proud a woman, a mother, Chaldean roots that I'm incredibly proud to share with you all today. I'm honored to be here. But if there's anything else I can say to you, it's that the policies under the administration that we have now are non-existent. There are no policies. What we are watching right now, what we watched in the debate, was very good acting by Ms. Harris. She doesn't stand for very much, so what she did was strategically try and irritate a very incredibly smart businessman who actually earned his votes as president. And that woman has never earned a vote. She ousted her own, she ate her own with the help of Nancy and co. And these are not the people that we want taking care of us. President Trump cares about one thing, his country, because his life has gotten worse since he was in president. And if you have any doubt, just look at me. You would never know his lawyer if he wasn't being constantly persecuted and prosecuted. So I don't want to drone on long, but I want to say something to us as Chaldeans, as Christians, as people that truly believe in God, believe in our faith, believe in the importance of family values, you have no option other than President Trump in November if you care about your children and this country. That is the truth. More importantly, and I'm going to say this again, the Chaldean vote was not strong enough the last time. 50% is not good enough. We have control. For once in our lives, unlike where we left, we have a lot of control right now in America. And don't undervalue your vote. It is so critical. I would not be here for 2 days, and I'm coming back, and he'll be here Tuesday in Michigan, if it wasn't so critical. Our voices matter as Chaldeans, as Arabs, as whatever it is. And I know everybody gets sensitive about how you define yourself, but I truly don't care. If you define yourself as a child of God and you believe in God, then you need to get out and vote. You need to take the time for your children, for our country, for your economics. If you want to have a 401k, if you want to have Social Security, if you want to have those things, take a look at what Donald Trump's policies are. Get behind him and do vote. Take your friends, vote early. Listen to what Monica's saying. Make sure you register. Thank you, Bishop, for making sure that people register. Father Brian, for your prayers. But I can't tell you how honored I am to be here. But more importantly, I will be back, and I'm going to drag you all to vote in November, whether you like it or not.
Okay, that's Trump's old lawyer there. I guess she was in Michigan. I didn't know that. Next one's 2 minutes.
In Washington. The committee approved the subpoena on a bipartisan basis back in July. And now Chairman James Comer says no more negotiating terms. The time has come for the former first couple to tell Congress what they know about Jeffrey Epstein. So the bill to release the Epstein files that was signed by President Trump this week is just one part of Congress's multifaceted investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking ring. In July, the House Oversight Committee sent subpoenas to multiple former government officials from both Democratic and Republican administrations, demanding they be deposed on oath. The Clintons received the subpoenas and tried to negotiate. They said they can provide written answers to questions. But committee chairman James Comer officially informed them Friday morning that won't cut it. In a letter sent to Clinton attorney David Kendall, Chairman Comer wrote, "Your suggestion that your client's testimony would not be relevant to the stated purposes of the committee's investigation because the events in question took place outside of the Clintons' respective official duties misses the committee's point. It is precisely the fact President Clinton and Secretary Clinton each maintain relationships with Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell in their personal capacities as private citizens that is of interest to the committee. If the Clintons do show up on the 17th and 18th, they will likely answer questions in private, and the committee will release a video of certain answers." Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna wrote on X, "If the Clintons defy their subpoenas, there's only one thing to do: jail time." That may not be an empty threat. Democrats subpoenaed former Trump administration officials Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro during the January 6th investigation. When they refused to comply, Democrats sent criminal referrals to President Biden's Department of Justice, which secured convictions that led to prison time.
That was big news there, huh? I got two more videos. They're both 10 minutes, you guys. Two more. One video, and I got this new one here.
A search engine, whichever one you want, and type in these 4 words. That's the keyword right there. Map. It'll be like the 4th hit or something. You're looking for this one right here. Click on that. Takes you to this thing, which is a whole rabbit hole. So I don't know who made this thing, but whoever you are, you're a legend. It's incredible. Let me show you what this is.
Anybody
by the way, I'm going to try my hardest to show you this stuff without getting this video taken down and my account's fucked up, because you're really super not allowed to talk about this for reasons. So this is our map right here. And over here, I've got Google Earth up so that you can see more easily. So this hotel right here, that's the Mandalay Bay Hotel. It's that one right there. And they're hosting this country music concert right there in October of 2017. And then some super effed up shit happens. And this is where the map comes in. This is all archived evidence, videos, 911 calls, autopsy reports. This video right here, for example, so when you click on it, it gives you the video, it gives you descriptions and timestamps. You can watch the video, click. So if you don't know what's about to happen in this video, don't worry, you're not going to see anything graphic. I'm intentionally just going to show you the ones where you hear what's happening. I need to remind you, you're just at a country music concert in downtown Las Vegas. And then all of a sudden, you hear that? That is exactly what you think it is. So the official story is that just this one dude just went and kitted out his hotel room with like an entire militia's worth of guns and ammunition and then just lost his mind out the window. And just to be clear, that's exactly what happened. So everything else I'm about to show you is just like coincidences and misinformation and weird 911 reports and people just losing their minds in general. And it's mostly all fake because he's the only guy that night that did any shooting at all. Because he actually took his own life at the end of it. The cops didn't even get to his room until like an hour after he was out of there. Like, not like he never left his room. He just like, he left of his own accord, theoretically, on his own. He was all alone. There's no one else in the room. But anyways, that's why when you look at the map, there's all these like reportings around the hotel and there's all this horrible shit that happened right here in the festival. That's also why there's this 911 call happening over here to the side that I listen to, that you can listen to too. You just click on the little link. It's all linked up where he clearly describes that he had direct visual on two dudes carrying the things that, you know, in that hotel running in a direction, and he made a 911 call about it. That's also why up here at the Excalibur, there's like 3 different 911 calls about this of the Excalibur. If you're not familiar with Las Vegas geography,
oh hey, Elaine, I missed you.
That's
there.
where our dude is, the guy doing the bad stuff. We're like down here now in that building. But wait, there's more. There's also like 10 different 911 calls from the Tropicana saying there's stuff going on inside of that building. That's all these right here. There's video, there's phone calls. Those are all 911 calls. Then there's all these eyewitness videos of them like completely shutting down this intersection for what sure seemed like them suspecting there was some bad dudes around that area. Despite, remember, there's just one bad guy and he's just way up there in his little hotel room window and he never left until he totally checked out of reality. While he still had like more than half of his stash of ammo just chilling with him. And the cops were not even at his door for another hour, mind you. He just was like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed, like the long bed. Totally logical behavior for someone of this persuasion. Then there's this absolute clusterfuck of 911 calls from the Bellagio. People reporting things like that. Again, to clarify, one bad guy there, that's it. But the Bellagio is like way down here. Where's the Bellagio? It's like one of these guys, I think. Oh shit, no, it's even further down. It's right here, way down here. Like we're talking like this dude has somehow like made all of these dudes panic and think that there's something going on inside this building. Then you move up to the Mirage. There's more. Caesar's Palace, Mirage, right there. 911 call. You can listen to it yourself. It's recorded. The Venetian, same thing. Listen to the 911 call. That's not to mention that something seriously fishy happened at this helicopter tour spot right here, which you can see right here, where there's these 911 calls that came in from there, where dude's girlfriend calls and is like, yo, something super bad is happening here. And they're all locked down and they're hiding. And one woman was injured. It's really not clear what happened to Sundance helicopters, but what is clear is there was some super weird helicopter stuff happening that night. You can see them in the videos, like helicopters that aren't police, that aren't supposed to be there, that don't officially exist. But then people started digging through the flight logs.
The same 3 helicopters that left earlier began to return from the north, head south across the strip, and then stop and begin to hover around the Mandalay Bay area for several minutes. By 9:50, all 3 helicopters hovering above Mandalay Bay turn off their transponders 15 minutes before the shooting begins, and they do not go back on until after the shooting at the festival ceases.
15 minutes before everything starts. And there's this whole rabbit hole to be done with a special kind of helicopter. I'm told that it uses its exhaust to be its rear stabilizers instead of having a rear propeller. Makes it super quiet. Anyways, sidetracked. Anyways, there's way too much here to fit into a short form video. It's already super long. I'll do a longer video about it at some point, but you should really go check out this map for yourself and just think about it, think for yourself. There's a great documentary on Rumble called Route 91. I think her name is Mindy. Did a great job of compiling the story and the evidence. She's a little intense, but But she also doesn't go into this whole deeper layer, and I don't know why she doesn't. I'm just gonna benefit of the doubt, but there's a whole layer beneath what happened that leads to Saudi Arabia. Mohammed bin Salman, the transition of the crown prince, the Khashoggis, Jamal Khashoggi getting, shall we say, julienned a year later to the day. I mean, it's literally what would happen if a Jason Bourne movie happened in real life and then the government had to cover up whatever the hell had just happened in downtown Las Vegas. This would be the story that you get. It was all just one psychopathic dude with an absolute truckload of weapons and bump stocks, mind you. Those never malfunction. And it just happened to take the police an hour and a half to even get to his room. By then, he was already just sick of the whole charade and had already gone to bed, despite having an entire cache of weapons and ammunition still ready to go. And all these other reports from the night of videos and 911 calls and people freaking out. They were just crazy Las Vegas people. They were just hallucinating, making up stories all up and down the strip. Although in a few instances, those stories did drop automatic handguns on the ground that civilians picked up and handed to police officers. Yo, I found this. It doesn't belong here. I'm for real. If you don't know about this rabbit hole, go research this rabbit hole. Rest in peace to all the civilians that unfortunately lost their lives that day, because what a tragedy. Just at a music festival, trying to live your life. It's honestly really heartbreaking, because on this map, these are all autopsy reports and you can read the details, and I'm not going to go into them right now because something about that just seems kind of wrong on camera, but they're teachers and mothers and people with families. And it's just it's a little choking to actually turn it, stop looking at it as a crazy story and and to actually think about the human lives in this world. Because too often the news just turns into news and clickbait and arguments on Twitter. But this is real life, and these are people's lives, and we're all people. And I think too often we forget that we're pretty much all just people. We've all got families. We all just want the best for them. And we're all generally just doing our best to do it. So yeah, tell someone you love them today. Don't trust the government. They're always lying. Drink some water.
How's that one, you guys? We haven't really heard up much more about that incident. So I'm going to change the video. Okay, she came out with something important, I think. So we're going to end it with Q's second video.
I know, I get it. Y'all are hearing me be upbeat and excited, and I am. I do believe that we are winning. I believe we're winning because I believe that there's no reason that the swamp would fight this hard and pull this many underhanded tricks if they didn't feel the tightening in on their necks. They know what is happening and they know what is going to happen. We cannot lose faith, but at the same time, if we do not see things clearly for what they are, we cannot fight like we need to. I wish you guys could see some of the mail and some of the messages I get from patriots who are frustrated, from patriots who are not frustrated, but feel that I'm too frustrated. And the other day I put a video, I was either here or it was over on Truthville USA, but I got a message from a couple of people saying, you need to stop with these titles. They are not proper and they are clickbaity. When I said that Donald Trump, that the military tribunals were on the way, and people said, don't say that, it's not happening. Well, today Donald Trump said we are going to use the military courts to go after the seditious six, and it's already starting. Why would we use the military courts? Because none of them are appointed by Joe Biden or the Obamas or by the Clintons. These are real, true blue patriots. They are going by a code of conduct set forth by the military. And if you violate that code, you will be in trouble. And fortunately, we're seeing it already. The one person that I feel like I've been able to trust in the cabinet since the beginning has been Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is the real deal. I believe that. I believe it with every fiber of my being. And the swamp fought hard to keep Pete Hegseth out of there. And to me, that is the true test. If the swamp doesn't like him, then I absolutely love them. And so we saw today that the news came across that one, Trump wanted to he wanted to use the military courts for the seditious six, but then one of them, Mark Kelly, he was brought up today because Mark Kelly, the senator out of Arizona, is indeed a veteran. He is a retired captain from the Navy. And according to U.S. military code, he still has to abide by his military conduct and rules of conduct, even when he is retired. And his benefits can be stripped away from him, and he can be tried by the military courts and court-martialed. And they are already looking into the court-martialing of Senator Mark Kelly. Now, real quick, the important part about this is going to send shockwaves throughout the country. It's going to send shockwaves throughout Congress and throughout the Senate, because many of those who are in the Senate and who are in Congress have previously served or are retired military. Not enough of them, but many of them are. I told you that this day was going to come, and it is here, and I'm here for it. I want Pete Hegseth to go after these people with the fire and the fury of the U.S. military, because we will see justice when that happens, and it's already starting. I can't wait. Senator Kelly has to go. Comment below. Let me know if you believe.
Okay, so I could get to bidding tonight. So, anyways, just getting tired. There's so much, a lot of news out there, you guys. A lot of news. 2 hours go by really fast. So, thanks again, JJ, for donations, and okay, thanks for dropping the links. And good to see you, Alpha. 5 o'clock is the normal time. Paul, thanks. So, till tomorrow evening, unless something develops anytime. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. Oh, I did it backwards. Uh-oh, where's my sign? Where's my sign? Oh, where did I put the sign at, Chico? Must be on the ground somewhere. We'll share it tomorrow. But stay safe, stay strong. Yep, and please hit the like and sign off, Chico Nude. See you guys later.